Good
evening to all the audience. I would like to welcome you once again from People's Go Talk Show, held every week on Sunday at 7 p.m. Myanmar time. And my name is Htet. I'll be moderator for today's discussion. Today's topic is that building future nation with the power of the youth. If we look at every revolution around the world, it is always through the collective force of the youth participation and the youth engagement. And in Myanmar Revolution as well, the spring in youth participation has been incredible, and that people also recognize the participation and the sacrifices made by the young generation of today's as well. In today's talk show, we'll also talk about youth participation, the voice of the youth, the challenges the youth are encountering, and we will listen to their voice, we'll listen to their reflections, and we also find ways how we can find solutions together. That's what we intend to talk about in the today talk show. Today talk show, since it is about youth, we'll try to make it in a youth style, very casual, and that comfortable to talk about it, so that we hope that our spectators of today, those who are contributing to the revolution in different ways as well, we also like to welcome you to use the Zoom link to join us on Zoom, and also to join in the discussion. Please also feel free to use our Facebook, and there where you can watch the live streaming of this talk show, and use the comments to engage with us. We'd like to invite our participants to the today discussion. So the first person is MZ from the GSCN. MZ, can you introduce yourself and also talk about your contribution and participation in this revolution? Good evening. Please call me MZ. I'm a member of the committee of the steering committee of the GSCN, and first, I would like to talk about GSCN as well as our participation in the Spring Revolution. GSCN was established on the 11th of February in 2021 with the 11 ethnic community groups as a general strike committee. And right now we have a participation of 31 ethnic communities. GSCN has participated in the drafting of the political roadmap, and that we have a different youth representatives participating in discussion. They are also at work. One of the work of our committee is on drafting and reporting research paper and publishing. This is something we are working on now. That it's easier to organize strikes on the ground. So through this, we are organizing that campaign as well as on the guerrilla strikes, and we also engage with the both local international organization to bring the voice of the people, to bring the voice of the ethnic community, and to bring the voice of the youth, especially the voice of the oppressed being. Now we are transmitting to them. We are doing advocacy and mobilizing. Thank you. Thank you, MZ, for the introduction. Now I would like to invite Captain Datha. Captain Datha, can you tell us about your journey to the revolution and now what you're currently doing now? Can you introduce yourself?
Hello? Okay.
Well, I joined the CDM in April 2021. Once I became a CDMer, right now, I'm engaging with the revolution organizations. I give trainings. I'm also part of the I'm confrontation. Right now, currently, I'm training, and along with the training, I'm also supporting the revolution. Thank you. That's all. And what kind of training are you giving? Can you share? Yes. So what kind of training in that with some groups? Well, they already have some of them already have a military training, some don't. So I provided like what is missing, the gap, what it comes to those who don't have any kind of training. Then now we teach not only about the parade, but also about the small arms as well as on the strategy. All three kind of trainings I provide them. Now I would also like to invite Saungkha. Maung Saungkha has internet different connectivity challenges, so he's not even able to join us directly online. But he did see this and as his recorded interview. So we'll like to play it for you for the introduction part. Good evening, Maung Saungkha. Good evening. First of all, that now as which role are you playing in the BPLA? Can you introduce about your role? Yes. Well, we call ourselves BPLA because we don't want to use we just simply want to use Datha, not Tamado. Although it means the same in army, but Tamado has been used in general with reference to the military hunter. So Tamado is the word often used in Burmese language and to refer to them, and that to the Myanmar-led state armed forces often use the word Tamado that as military. Then their hands are bloody with that of the civilian population along many generations. We don't want to be labeled as the thing. We don't want to be called as the same. So that's why we have selected our name as Teto in Burmese language. So that's how we call ourselves BPLA. That Mapitulai Teto in Burmese. In our army, you can call me as the supervisor or the person the supervisor in charge. That before we are based in the southern part of Myanmar in the current area right now, we are also present in the northern part, and we are now operating on 2 theaters, one in the north and one in the south. Thank you for the introduction. So in the past, first of all, we'd like to review the about a year and a half for the revolution. For the past a year and a half, what is the role of the youth participation, and and also how has the youth participated, and why are the youth making such sacrifices and be part of the revolution? That do you think the youth are satisfied with the results and the outcomes of their participation, engagement, and sacrifices they have made? After the coup, the first who have went down in the against the coup are the youth as well. And it was also the youth who were the first to join in the armed resistance and the armed conflict as well. And that there were those among youth who have opted for the armed resistance, and there are also those who remain in urban area as urban guerrilla fighters, and there are also who are organizing strikes and the demonstrations in the urban areas. So youth have participated differently and resisted against the military hunter in different ways. Firstly, the youth have fought against the military hunter, and that in this resistance, they also became more politically mature. Their political maturity has increased through their work, through their resistance against the oppression. Then that in the efforts, not only about removing Myanmar from power, from removing the military regime, but also about removing eradication of all forms of dictatorship, and then about establishment of federal democracy union. These are the goals that we're able to make from the initial resistance against the military and against Myanmar. That now among youth, it become a medium that we talk about building their future federal union, and that is politically speaking, that is incredible progress. But if we look at it from the current situation and background, that in the armed revolution, according to the different areas of conflict, we are seeing different conflict areas. One certain thing is that Myanmar and their army they are being confronted by the PDF and those also local defense forces, which are integrated under the NUG, or those who remain independent. We all have a common agreement that we all agree on eradication of the Ri hunter, and that this is the common goal of all the revolutionary forces, and this is happening across Myanmar on a very broad basis. That can be considered as a progress as well. But the situation can differ because the military and war is difficult. So there has always been, and you are not winning all the time. There are also times where we have to withdraw. There are also times we have to give up territory, but there are also times where we win as well. That as for the sacrifices, if you look at our comrades and the revolutionary fighters, the families and the brothers, the many have sacrificed their lives for the revolution. Such the ultimate sacrifices have already been made a lot, and there will be there because this is something we know that will what we know what will take as well, because without such sacrifices we'll also not make it. That for all of us who are participating in this revolution, it is important for us to remain strong. That it is important to turn the frustration and anger, indignation, into strength, so that which will reinforce our efforts to reach the goal as well. That these are the youth who are committed. These are the youth who are committed to the cause we see in our close in our nearby areas, and then that is a very good that potential of the youth. If we look back on the Spring Revolution, youth participation has been of great momentum. That the youth that participating with might and mind these days, and think it is important to recognize that. It is also important to recognize that commitment and that passion of the youth. It is important to bring youth along. It is important to give them leadership. I think it will, at a certain time, we will reach concrete goals.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ခုနကတော့မောင်ဆောင်ခါကိုကျွန်တော်အကျိုး interview လုပ်ထားတဲ့အပိုင်းတစ်ခုကျွန်တော်ထုတ်ပြသွားတာဖြစ်
This is the interview that we have made and that has been aired to all of you. As I wrongly called the name Burma Pidu Lulai Tamador, but in fact it needs to be Burma Pidu Lulai Tato. So I correct myself as well. I would like to ask MZ the same set of questions that I asked to Maung Saungkha. We have over a year and a half in this revolution. I would like to know about the participations of the youth, the dynamic, the results. Are you satisfied with all of these as the youth perspective? Now the floor is yours. All right. In this Spring Revolution time, the forms of participations of youth in this revolution is quite various. Some involve in CDM, some involve in strikes, some involve in armed struggle, some involve in peaceful demonstration, many of them. And the determined youth participation in revolution is something very historical. We had that kind of youth dynamic in the past, and now we are witnessing ourselves as of now. In GSC, many of the youth involved in GSC with their own capacity. There are many youth leaders that I admire. Well, in order to give you some example, I would like to refer myself as an example. I am less than 20 years old, but I involve in this struggle. I have my own family life, I have my own education, I have my own family finance struggle. I try to balance myself in all this in order to participate in the revolution. So many youths like myself are there in this revolution. The maturity, the learning, the application, and the experience are what we are gaining each and every day. Community see us as a young man and woman to lead the family. So we have to have our shoulder for family support as well. And at the same time, we support the revolution, participate in the revolution. We also have youth who are in the employment, and those youth also support the family and as well as the revolution with their incomes. So these are all the forms of youth participation as far as I know of and I witness, and giving you as myself an example. So with all this struggle, with all this revolution issue, with all this security concern, how are we going to pass? What are we doing? Well, I'm not going to tell all of them the way that how we go through this revolution, but we are trying to find our own coping mechanisms. We cannot say how long this revolution, the intensity of support in the revolution by the individual can be different. The resilience of a youth in this situation can be very different. But nevertheless, youth in general have a very strong dynamic in this revolution. You may ask me why I risk my life in this revolution. Well, in order to give you some brief description of that, I do not want to have the lost future. We want to uproot all sort of dictatorship. So this is the belief. There are many youths who lost their life in this revolution, who got arrested, and who flee away from their homes. So we involved in the revolution and end up being in such kind of results. What I would like to say is that we know all the risk, but yet we participated in this revolution because of not being persuaded or coerced by any of us. But it's just that we know that what we need to do, and thus we participate in order to get rid of the dictatorship. So this is the very much reason with the conscious decision that we participate. So this is something I would like to say. Thank you very much for your contribution with your open heart. Now I just would like to invite Captain Datha.
တွေ့မြင်တာမျိုးရှိတယ်ပြီးတော့ကြတော့ဒီအာဏာမသိမ်း
Captain Datha, I would like to check how the role of your participation and how do you see the youth participation as well, and can you also share with us what were your opinions about the youth and youth activism while you were in the when you were in the army and when you're in the army before, and now that you have engaged with the youth, you have worked with the youth, how do you see the youth involvement and engagement in this revolution? In the past a year and a half of Spring Revolution, how do I see the youth participation? Well, let me put it this way. Every youth has a future. And no, everyone has a future. And yet, because of the political context of Myanmar, that a lot of youth have seen their future has been blocked, and now that with the coup and that and also that the youth have not been able to, that we also, I mean, with the youth we do understand their indignation because we have a taste of democracy. Now we know what democracy is like, and youth want democracy. They as they aspire democracy, and that they also also know that this is what they deserve, and this is democracy is something they should achieve. And that when the military conduct the coup, and it's like it's just like putting gasoline on a fire, because the sparks are already there, and the youth become every youth become feel this pressure, feel this the youth feel that they are being driven to join this revolution. It's like the coup is just like sort of like that driving them out, driving them farther. That's why a lot of youth have engaged in this revolution in different ways. They play different roles for the eradication of the military dictatorship. Like you have spoken, like there are those who have who bear arms and who are fighting it. There are also those who are doing different things, do different duties, play different duties for the eradication of the that youth. That it is the youth with their engagement and participation has been incredible, because they are not like comparing themselves that we will need to do better than the elder generation. No, they don't think like that. They're just doing more. The way they are, the incredible the way they have engagement, their participation has been much more deeper, much more broader than the other generations, because the way they the way they think, the way they act, the way their commitment to the political changes, and that and the aspirations, and that political maturity is incredible. It is they are this generation is have more capacity and more ability in such way, because before the coup, that the way before the coup happened, how I see the youth, the universities, and that vision of the youth, the way I saw the youth, and that that now I see the youth now is very different. Before, we used to think that that this my perspectives are different, because I think that, well, youth they try to find employment, and they stay free. They go and spend their time in the tea shop, and we see like, oh, they just it just when we compare them, our youth with youth from other countries, I'm not really satisfied with the way youth are. We thought they are not as hardworking as the youth in other countries. And we look at other countries, how they in other countries, when a person is 18 years old, and they will be trying very hard, they would leave home, and they would try to they seems always to be working hard for their country. And if you look back, when I look back at Myanmar in the past, that they don't, I mean, when I look at these youth, I don't see them as patriotic. I don't see them as hardworking. And that, of course, there are youth who are brilliant, youth who are hardworking, and who also also are trying very hard. But a lot of the time that we see youth as that they're just they're just spending their time in the tea shops, and they're not doing anything. And that I don't really think highly about the youth. But then again, we tend of like condescending to what they should. But after the coup happened, from Myanmar has connected that it has been incredible to see youth were the first to step up and to resist. There were peaceful, non-violent demonstrations in the streets, and that they demonstrated to fight against the military. But then when this political solution is not working, that when there is no political dialogue, the youth did not stay there. They pick up weapons, and they started the armed revolution. And the way they do the armed revolution, their commitment to the revolution has been incredible. That much deeper is, I would say, that they have this higher level, that as if they are from the higher plane of involvement and engagement. And this really is incredible, that we are very proud that, because they are not patriotic, they cannot be called as unpatriotic. It is only the military elite which has been pushing the country into this situation. I accept that. We do not blame the youth that if they were to, if they may have tried their hard to destroy the motivation of the youth, or that youth advocacy or the youth agency, that they never did give any opportunity for you to have a brilliant and bright future like a youth of other country, because there have been opportunities for you to progress, to make progress, to develop through this. However, we don't seem to have that, because they have the way they have is that they have the prospects and the prospects for the opportunities for the youth. That's why youth of Myanmar are considered as like idle, and that they are not working very hard. But when the time calls for it, the youth have shown up to fight for freedom, to fight for autonomy, to fight for self-determination. That when it comes to time to fight for their freedom and their rights, the youth have stood up. Youth has stood up, youth have shown up, and it has been incredible to see that amazing commitment and contribution to the revolution. And how shall I put it? The way we thought was that that we often tend to think this is impossible. That we often don't think that we often say that this is impossible. That as I was serving in the military, whenever you are given an order from the superior officers, then you have no choice. You have no choice but to do it. You have to carry out the order. But however, with the youth, it's incredible that they are making this. They are risking their life. They will risk everything. That they have risked everything to eradicate the military dictatorship, and that's incredible commitment. And that's why they're saying that youth has that also the commitment also show their ability to make good on the commitment. Thank you. Thank you, Capt. Datha, for your discussion. And this is something we all need to take into consideration, that the military in Myanmar have always oppressed the students. They have killed the students. There have been cases where the students were killed even inside the university or school area, and that there were also they have exploded, that they have set up bombs inside the university area, and that they will also always use this brainwash and the propaganda that there is a military who is a savior, is a military who is shaping the population, and they always have this narrative of the youth are idle, youth are not achieving anything, and that instead of us considering youth, or instead of recognizing youth as those who to create the future of the nation, it was as if it is the military who is able to shape the nature, and the youth have no ability. The youth are staying idle, and that they are lazy, they're not hardworking. They always have this narrative, and just want to add to that, because it is not surprisingly, because this is also a narrative that military often has developed as well. That now I would like to take another round starting with MZ. And that time, so the during the revolution, despite the difficulty and challenges, socioeconomic pressure of the friends and family, youth are participating as well. And that you are also part of the GSCN, where we have a different ethnic communities working together. So what is the message you want to give to the other youth who are contributing to the revolution, and also what will be your message to the public to engage with the youth, to work with the youth, to support the youth? Thank you for your question. And for that, well, in that when we look at the leading organization institution of the institutional revolution, that it seems like if a youth are getting more space in the leadership position, but in reality, the voice of the youth is we are in the reality, we are not seeing that they're listening to the voice of the youth, or they are taking. There still are weaknesses in terms of taking action or implementing the voice of the youth or action of the youth. I think it is something we need to do to reach further. We need to learn from the past. We need to learn from we need to also let the bygones be bygones. We know that as well, and that this is something we need to learn from. We need to learn from the past as well. We cannot dwell on the past. We need to learn. We need to take lessons from the past and leave the past behind. That I think this is something that this is something we have heard numerous times from the youth leader. It is important to live in the past, but it is important to take lessons from the past. It is important for those who are working right now. This kind of attitude is extremely important, especially like GSCN and that the youth leaders who are pushing for this federal democracy union. That's the mindset. When we engage with different ethnic community, it is important to build trust. It is also important to engage with each other. That's the mindset we have in working with each other despite their differences. Only then we'll be able to work together better, we'll be able to collaborate. But in politics, that when it comes to political dialogue and that engagement, it is important to have that it is also important to keep an open mind of the political leadership, and that that we are also seeing the reluctance to make decision, or not keeping an open mind or that open heart. Because for youth are very fast. We make decisions quickly. We are very decisive. And that we have the ability to carry on and carry through as well. I think that kind of that's something different from the youth as well. So when in the areas where the youth who are leading, that we are making what we can to make it clear, and that decisions, it is also important. We need that is needed to be able to provide the solution as well, and that it is important to have youth in leadership position. There should be more youth in leadership position. Another important thing is that that's the point about how can the people engage with the youth and the support the youth. That I think it's something we are in a way we become that stereotypical is we tend to listen to the elders. We tend to listen to the senior or those who are in the higher position. It is also important to listen to the youth. It is also important to listen to the voice of the youth. It is also important to recognize the heart of the youth, the mind of the youth. It is also important to recognize the youth as well, and it is also important to support the youth as well, and that especially now, for that it is that trusting the youth, or that is that not just about just about in words. It is also important to it is important to walk the talk. It is important to recognize the youth as and their abilities as well, especially that in our country, that because of what the lessons learned from the youth, a youth had learned very quickly, and youth have to become very mature in a very short amount of time. There also are a lot of gaps, a lot of needs as well, and that we don't that it is still time for you to be able to fill the gaps and that to learn from the others. We are always looking at our weaknesses and what we need to do more, and we are trying to improve ourselves, and that it is with this kind of commitment and faith, and that it's also important that youth should not be the role of the youth should not be underestimated, either for the revolution or for the armed resistance. We are seeing the importance of youth everywhere as well. My special point I would like to make as a woman is that what we are that often so often we women, especially women, are considered as not having the ability to lead or not be able to make decisions. But women when it comes to revolution, when it comes to political knowledge or maturity, we are not weak. We are able to walk the same as every other individual. And if you look at the revolution, if you look at what has happened, if you will see the women leaders as brilliant as their counterparts, it is important those who are in this revolution need to recognize the ability and the capacity of the women, and to engage with women, to work with women as well. And it is also important that our women needs to be present, need to get our space. We need to show up. We need to participate. We need to engage and get our rightful place as well.
Thank you very much for your discussion points that make us realize and reflect ourselves about our participation in this revolution. We always say that this is a revolution led by the youth, but when you think very carefully, when you think in deep concern, one would question about the meaningful engagements of a youth. So I think it is a need to have a meaningful engagement, collaboration, and giving place for the youth. I also have a pre-made video with Maung Saungkha, and due to the internet connection problem at his end, he would not be able to have this live conversation, but I guess that he will join with us when we have the Q&A session. So now I'm going to play the pre-made video with him. Maung Saungkha, you lead the BPLA now, and you also are the youth leader in the armed struggle. I just would like to realize the dynamic of a youth on the ground. And I also would like to ask you to share your opinion in terms of how to support and assist the youth who take arms on the ground. Thank you. Well, in order to respond your question, youth that it's with us on the ground leave everything behind, their education, their family, their home. They don't know when they would be able to go back. It is very difficult to say when the revolution will be ended. We all try to have a significant result by end of next year in this revolution. It is quite a concern for us as well. If there would not be no significant result or game-changing results by end of next year, then youth and public in general will be depressed. But anyway, what I tell to the youth in the recruitment process is that we don't know when it will be done, but you need to be prepared if you want to join us. But we just cannot be lazy. We just have to be committed. We just have to be determined. We need to be properly structured in our action and in our participation. So in some of an area in the country, they take whatever arms that is available in order to participate in the armed struggle, and they sacrifice unnecessarily. They lost their life unnecessarily since they were not properly structured. Well, it is very important to make sure that unnecessary waste of life is to be mitigated in any kind of wars. Youth are not in sufficient and enough equipment in the armed struggle. As a result of it, loss of many youth lives are there. So in the Spring Revolution, many armed forces and many armed groups and organizations has been formed. In terms of their capacity, in terms of their strategy, in terms of their line of command, all the area needs to be seriously improved. And as a result of it, loss of lives are there. So it is quite a concern for us. If there would be proper leadership, change of command by the leaders, it would be much better. The longer in this revolution that we experience, the more depressed that the people would be and the more frustrated the youth can be felt. So the leaders very much need to do some field visit, talk with them, stay with them, and fix the problems with them. I think it is very important for the leaders to do as such, and the comrades really would need to take the line of command as a serious matter. So I think that it's what needs to be improved from both sides. In terms of the public support, I don't see declination of the public support in this revolution, but loss of lives, all the difficulties seems the normal ways of life for the public, sadly. Now let me talk about fun. We They call them as a donation money. But for me, I just take it as a budget of fun for my for my organization. Because the thing is that if you have a donor and donation relation, then the donor can make some sort of influence over a particular organization, which we cannot afford to have this kind of influence by the donor. But some of the donor, to be fair, they just gave the donation with no string attached behind the donation. So in some of the armed forces, armed groups, what I experience is that they try to inform the public what's going on with their armed struggle at any given moment. I don't think it is the wise thing to do, because the nature of the armed confrontation is something that you don't need to tell to the public every ins and out. Because some of the groups would tell to the public in order to persuade more donation. I think that needs to be careful. So I think it is very important for the public to understand us and to participate with us and support us for the success of the revolution. Thank you. Now, I thank you very much for your contribution. Now, I would like to give a turn to Captain Datha for your opinions and reflection in terms of how the public should support youth in this revolution. Thank you.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ကျွန်တော်အနေနဲ့က
For me,
ပြည်သူလူထုဆိုတဲ့အထဲမှာ
whenever we address to the public means the elder, the middle-aged population, and the youth. Everyone play a role to support the youth. Supporting the youth morally, it's what it is important. The acceptance of youth, their dream, their action, it's very important. They must accept the nowadays youth. Accepting the youth is not voluntary, it's a mandatory, because whatever they see, the nowadays youth will take over the future, whether they like it or not. So, having said that,
တခုခုနဲ့ဟိုဖြစ်ထားတဲ့လူကြီးတွေဒီကျွန်တော်တို့လူငယ်တွေကို
the elder in power must support the youth for them to be in the right direction. If they don't give place for youth, youth would just pave their ways. The future of this country is depend on the youth. The better the youth would be, the better future of this country would be. Personally speaking, if youth would be underdeveloped, this country will never be developed. Politically speaking, socially speaking, culturally speaking, youth needs to have a good direction. So I think it is a job of the public and elder to give the good direction for the youth. Thank you. I also would like to raise another question to you as a follow-up of the discussion that we have had with Maung Saungkha. Maung Saungkha talks about donor and donation. For the youth, in order to get donation, they have to talk about their military they have to talk about their armed confrontation publicly in order to attract donation, in order to attract donors. And this is what happened on the ground. So some of the armed group will not talk about what's going on for the security reason, and in that case, this kind of low-profile armed group will not get donation. So I think I would like to hear your suggestion to the public about that kind of scenario. Flow of donation, walk of the fund, it's very much depend on the fundraisers. I'm sure youth determined to have this revolution as a sex. They take the public of this attitude will do donation whatever way, because they believe that as a duty to donate. And for the armed group, it's very important to communicate about themselves to the public only if it is safe for the armed personnel and as well as their operation. This is something I would like to say. There are many groups with various kind of leaders. Some of the leaders are elders, some of the leaders are women, some of the leaders are young, some of the leaders are not that young, but anyway, there are many eras in communicating about their armed operation to the public, and as a result of it, leakage of unintentional intelligence happened, and as a result of it, there are serious consequences which can even be lost of lives. So, rather than talking about what's going on with the armed confrontation all the time, you may want to communicate about your action only if and once and when things are safe. I think fundraiser needs to be careful about that as well. And talking about fundraising, some group can be very loud about that, and some group can show off that how much they could do in terms of the armed confrontation. I do see that it became automatic, or it became naturally, that the more you show off, the more fun that you will get. I think it became as a kind of a natural process. But we need to do some counterbalance. We need to have some sort of buffer platform to do donation distribution, to do fund distribution among various groups. We have very weak financial group. They need to be deliberately helped out. Otherwise, the big group will get only the big money. And if that kind of dynamic would be ongoing, we will have loss of many weak, small group that would bring inequality. Then that would mean we would lose the confidence, life, and motivation and commitment of the public in this revolution. So the public, please support and assist the small and weak organizations and groups. Thank you.
စက်ရှင်ကိုကျွန်တော်သွားမှာဖြစ်ပါတယ်တကယ်လို့မေးမြန်းဖို့
Now,
ရှိရဲဆို
we'd like to go for the third round, and we have the speakers answer to another round of questions. And if you want, we can also you can also please join us on Zoom and then ask your questions verbally to our speakers directly, or you can also write your questions in the comment box and then ask questions as well. And we talk about the youth participation and the challenge of the youth. And that round, I would like to get ask about the youth. What do we see as our needs are? Where do we need to improve? Where are the areas where the youth can do more? And what do we see as missing in this? We'll also be doing a bit more of giving creative constructive criticism towards among youth by the youth for the youth. Okay, so first question will be about if you look at youth participation in the as well. So we like to just sort of like a soft review, some reflection of the youth also. What are the weaknesses of the revolutionary youth as well, and then what is needed, or what is necessary for youth to reach the leadership? What does youth need to work on to reach the leadership level? Thank you for the question. So in this during this revolution, when we look at the youth who are forming as part of the revolution, we came from the different backgrounds. We came from the diverse community. We came from different backgrounds. So what happens is that some of them are some of the youth are interested in the politics. They always have come from political background, and that they learn, so they have more knowledge, awareness about the politics. And for example, for us, like, we are not from political background, we don't have that. So in the beginning, it is although we want to revolt, and we started to do that because we cannot take the oppression. But when it comes to real work, when it comes to politics, and we don't have the ability, or we don't have the capacity to show as well. We are still learning, and our education is we haven't finished education. We have finished, so there are limitations for us as well. And that in the as for the principle of the GSCN, we focus on the collective leadership, the voice of all of us need to be. We focus on the differences, on the to be able to have a common opinion. That when we look at the misunderstanding or misperception or misinformation, we engage with each other, and that we engage with each other to be able to work together. So that the knowledge that we gain, the knowledge that we achieve, and that engagement we have is is of great value for us. that and that it is also important. These also give us knowledge, and that the capacity that we can use among our ethnic communities. That and then we are also learning also about the leadership as well, and that is something we are also that are facing. That is something we are also seeing on the ground as well. As for the that the strength of the youth is very determined. They're motivated, and that they also have a clear vision, and that as well, and that and they are willing to engage, and they are willing to engage in the different roles, and that they wouldn't hesitate. They wouldn't hesitate to apologize, or they wouldn't hesitate to say, to admit that they were around as well. That they are also more technically savvy as well, and these are the strength of the youth that we have seen in this revolution. But there are also weaknesses when it comes to that youth can also be overconfident. That sometimes youth can be overconfident, and that sometimes youth also want to be want the recognition, and that sometimes then we can also get we could also be sort of like looking for attention as well, and that if we don't often that that we do things also, and then if we don't although we may be doing things, but if we don't really explain what we are doing to the others, and then also so there is also the youth often this tendency also to say that you're not working. They're also quick to blame as well, and that because of this pressure, that sometimes they become also become a pressure on them. It's quite stressful for them. So it's some of the work we do that will also be a challenging as well, and that of course no one is perfect. You is not perfect, because it is it is important for you to continue learning. And like we said before, that we often say like that we also need to be, it is also important for you to also to be not to be a one-way street, when it's important to be a two-way, to be able to understand that as well, and that youth often sometimes works on the youth can be very strong on the emotions, and they sometimes they have an emotional response, and that sometimes that can also can be pointed out. And do what happens also is that that for those who work in this revolution, and that we focus so much on the revolution, and that sometimes we tend to lose our momentum in our areas as well. I think it is that sometimes you also face pressure from our environment as well, and that also have an impact on the work that we do as well, and that right now that because of the situation, that a lot of youth, there has been a brain drain, and the youth are leaving Myanmar, that they are steadily leaving their country because of the reason, and that is reality. That is really happening on the ground, and that and also for that reason, and the amount of youth also that youth also started to that they put some pressure as well, like that they are some of the community will say, have you not left yet? You should be leaving. Others are leaving too, and that we are, when we face such kind of challenges, and that also have impact on that as well. And the youth can be you still work react emotionally, and then it could also be our age. That also something we also need to change as well. And that another point I would like to say is that that I think it is important that you also need to show they have the empathy and the compassion, that by not by just by words alone, and that it is also important to important to show it by our actions, by that as well. And that I think it is also important to that to still to continue remain committed to the revolution, to those who remain in the country as well. If you and also to think about others, think about those who are sacrificing their lives, those who are taking their risks, and also think about others too. And that's the point I would like to make. And you cannot just think about others as well. And that for the success of the Spring Revolution, for our revolution to be to be successful, and that, like as we have discussed earlier, I think we need we need to have a clear that that you it is important that you should be in the leadership position, and that and it is also important also to recognize the youth genuinely, to trust in the youth and their ability, and that we all need the kind of the kind of environment to welcome the youth and to bring the youth together as well. That youth may be genuine, and that however you still need to learn, that you still miss experience, still need maturity, still need to learn from it. So sometimes the youth can make mistakes easily, rather than removing the youth and let the youth learn from their own experience, and that give youth opportunity to learn from this, and that is still is greatly needed, because that and this is something that that is also these are the challenge, some of the challenges that we are facing as well, and that sometimes some of the youth you also need to break away from the social constructs or the prejudice that the format that they have been brought up in our journey towards federal democracy. It is that we are trying in this revolution to eradicate all forms of military dictatorship, and we are also in a way at the same time we are also doing through the ideological revolution as well, and that it is important, and that it is important to go beyond this identities of ethnicity, religion, or the faith or political ideology. It is important to go beyond that. It is important to look at what is toxic to us in terms of ideology. There's some of the ideology like the patriarchy or the racism. It is important to fight against such ideology as well, because what we need in our way for the future of the federal democracy union is equality, and equality in all terms as well, and that what we are the way I see is that youth are working hard on the ground as well, that and that it is important that since youth are working on the ground, it is also important that you should reach that leadership position, and that like as I explained earlier, I think it is important that we need to recognize the youth. We need to organize like the top youth talk shows, and that to be able to listen among this revolutionary fighters and the different revolution. It is important to organize to bring up to organize youth talk shows to bring about the voice of the youth, the reflection of the youth, and not to underestimate the youth, and genuinely recognize the youth. And we also would like to say my message to the youth is to remain committed to the cause, and then to remain strong and that active in our participation and engagement as well. Thank you for a very comprehensive answer, and that I also have asked the same question to Saungkha. I would like to share the video now. My next question is about reviewing about the role of the youth, and that how the youth have been engaged in this revolution. As a revolutionary leader who is deeply involved in the revolution, so what do you see as the advantages or the strengths of the youth participating in the end conflict? What are their weaknesses as well, and that to build a future nation, and that to be able to for the youth to reach the leadership position? Where does youth need to improve? Where do they need to build? Does youth need to become stronger? For youth, youth have opted for the armed conflict because of the situation. The situation has pushed them to that. None of us want to become a soldier. None of us want to fight in the war. None of us want to, pick up weapons and to try the armed resistance. It was the situation. There is no other choice but to go for it. And it is also important that we do not become that warmongers. I think it is also important that we know it is also important that we do not develop this liking it as well, because that we cannot stay as as well, and that I think we have our future too, and that when we that it is also important for us to be able to build the future nation. The youth will also play an important role as well, and that I think when youth learn about the military warfare, I think the military and the warfare, it is also important for youth also to learn about the politics, about the federalism, about the governance. I think about according to their interests, we also need to give you opportunity to think about different area as well, and that you know, a soldier doesn't need to be fighting all the time. There may be times you will be fighting on the front line, but sometimes you don't need to as well, and that once you also might also need to come back, not to go and fight in the front line. You need to come back and work on the character building, on the nation building, as well as on the that you also don't need to learn that it is also important to read, to discover new perspective as well. And those it is also important that you know, that it's important though those authorities will need to organize also that you know, that political training, the opportunities there, so that will become better for also for youth as well. I think that you know, that youth, in my opinion, youth not youth can contribute a lot, not just to the umbrella system. You should be playing a more important role, and more important with the state building. For you to be able to participate, it is also important that we need to create space for youth and opportunities for you to participate as well. Because Myanmar, in Myanmar, you know, the youth leadership has been very little, and that in the future also, the often when we look at the leaders, often most leaders are elderly people, and the women also do not often get a position as well. That it is important for the youth for you to be able to reach the leadership position. I think it is important that you need to show that they have the skill, that they are brilliant as well. Because in that I think it is also important to build the leadership capacity for each and every one of us to get more skills and capacity. It is important. But you know, the youth are not just revolutionary fighters. The sacrifice, the ultimate sacrifice of the youth should not be sacrifice be to you know, to give the youth sacrifice not just be about giving up like their lives in the revolution, but that it is also important that you play an important role, and that in the nation building with a new perspective, a new ideas, a new concept. It is important that each and everyone should build our skills, and that the capacity, so that we have the that we have the ability to take on the important task as well. Thank you for the contribution. Now, I would like to invite that Captain Datha, that MSA also have discussed quite broadly about what you need to prepare for. And also Saungkha also talk about it as well, and that what do that you need to work on as well, and that so Gabriela, do you want to add anything? Where do you see that you could improve on? Where do you see that you can do more? So let's have an open discussion about how can you improve, or where do they need to work on their areas or shortcomings? Youth who are participating in this revolution, there are strengths and weaknesses. I think it is not just for youth. You know, either you're youth or that there are always, you know, that strength and weaknesses. Hope you can hear me. Yes, we can hear you. Please continue. There is both, you know, that strength and the weaknesses. So in this revolution, that we are seeing the youth are very patriotic. They love their countries, and that they are willing to they are willing to fight against that military leadership. You have the skills and the ability to fight as well. And that youth also is looking for that will not take that you know, will not take the violation of will not take on violations or the abuse. In terms of weaknesses, so what we are seeing on the ground for the youth is that you know, often the youth are leading, and we are also seeing that many battles where the youth has taken the leadership role as well. Sometimes youth are very quick to make a decision, and that they are quick to make a decision. The longer they are, the more resistant they are, just like a game. That the nature of the youth, they want to turn their loss into a win. They're always trying to. They also need to keep this mindset that a loss can be turned into a win. That the more that the more often youth often change their mind when they are doing the armed resistance, when they are doing the armed revolution. It is important to remain committed that our focus should be on the eradication of the military dictatorship, and that our weapons should never turn towards the people, and that's something that you need to be aware about as well. And that sometimes that we have seen that once you have the weapons, and that they say that some of those people, they themselves become dictators. And we are seeing it's not just in our area, we are seeing it in different parts of Myanmar. I think this is the challenge we have. So I think it is important to understand that your responsibility, that as a duty, the duty as a weapon bearer, what do you need to be aware of out there as well. And that the fact that that the weapons that you are holding, that's your responsibility, that's your mandate, and you cannot forget it is about eradication of the military dictatorship, and that all forms of dictatorship, about the building of the future nation, a federal democratic union. You cannot forget that because some people just started bearing weapons, and they tend to think they are the spirit that can they themselves become detectors. And that sometimes that takes unnecessary resources and time and energy to resolve this issue as well. And that sometimes it can also happen that some groups will even use the weapons unnecessarily against each other. And that's something that you need to be aware about as well. There are a lot of strengths, there are also weaknesses. Some of the weaknesses are the areas that the youth can also improve on. I think it is also important that that the seniors also help them so that they could learn from it as well.
Now we will proceed with the Q&A, and please raise your hand if you would like to raise a particular question, or otherwise put it in the comment box. Now we have several hand raised. I'm going to have the microphone on so that you can ask a question. Saungkha Mudo, anything that you would like to discuss? If you have anything to discuss, please make sure your microphone is on. I hope that you can now hear me. Yes. I am no longer a youth. As an adult, I would like to discuss about youth issue. Some of the youth came to me and talked about their things. Well, this is my very first time to discuss in the public. I'm going to be careful with that. Some of the youth on the ground lack to open up their emotion, like a people to talk to express their emotion and difficulty. And I am a donor, just to give you a short introduction. So they came to me and they talked and they opened up about their difficulties. And I asked them, did you talk about your difficulty to your leaders? And they said, yes, they did, but the leaders might not like to hear all the difficulties. So, as a result of it, the youth got depressed. They accumulated their needs. For me, I feel very sorry for them. They are at the age of my own sons and daughters. I can listen to them if they want to open up. Why can't their leaders? So this is something that happened in my mind. It is a question to all of you as well. And another thing that I would like to talk about is that they cannot go things publicly on social media. And if such kind of group would not go their social media campaign, then how would they seek fund? So this is something I also would like to raise as a question. Maung Saungkha also have this kind of situation. But anyway, I will try as much as I can. I just would like to give any particular motivational recommendation by Maung Saungkha because they are very depressed youth on the ground. So your motivational encouragement talk might be very much helpful. You say something which it's very inspiring. I will repeat that. I have to look the face of the fallen stars. We have to stand for all these fallen stars in order to proceed for our future. So this is very encouraging. Again, leaders, please listen to the youth. Please do not show power to the youth. Otherwise, youth would not be able to open up. Maung Saungkha, Captain Datha, any word of encouragement for the youth on the ground. Thank you. We thank you very much for your question and your points. We will collect questions so that the speakers would be able to give the collective replies. And we also have more hand raised in the participant again. Please came up with your question, and we also have questions from Q&A box. I'm going to read them as well. And now we're collecting all the questions. So in the comment, I saw some of the relevant points that I'm going to collect them to have the conversation. Some said that, well, in the comment box, one said that some youth are trying to be abroad to get an employment in Japan, Korea. Now they are learning Japanese, Korean language to get a job there. So it seems that it is a bit selfishness to leave this country and get and find a job out there. So I think this is something that you might want to comment by the speaker, please, at the later stage. And there is another point mentioned in the chat box and Q&A box that the country is completely destroyed by the military junta, but the construction of a new country is not successful yet because there is not much meaningful participation in constructions of a new country by all level of a public. How are we going to go about that? So probably MZ, Captain Datha and Saungkha may respond that as well. And some of the group got discriminated if they don't make the social media campaign about their confrontation. So how are we going to correct that kind of dynamic? So these are all the questions and points that we gotten written, and now I just would like to invite James who raised the hand. Please go ahead.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ချင်းချင်းဆွေးနွေးလို့ရပါတယ်
James, the floor is yours.
ချင်းချင်းဆွေးနွေးချင်တာရှိပါသလား
James, do you want to talk or anything that you want to discuss?
ဟုတ်အဲ့ဒါဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်နောက်တစ်ယောက်ကိုဖိတ်ခေါ်လိုက်ပါမယ်
Well, if it is not the case, then I'm going to invite another one. That fine.
တပ်ပိုင်းဆွေးနွေးလို့ရပါတယ်
That fine. Now, please go ahead.
ဟုတ်ကဲ့တပ်ပိုင်းရှိပါသလား
That fine. Are you there?
ဟုတ်ကဲ့ဆွေးနွေးချင်တာမေးချင်တာရှင်းပြောလို့ရပါ
Yes, I'm here. Do you want to discuss anything? Well, how are we going to get the effective and efficient assistant? What would be the way to get the effective and efficient assistant in timely manner? This is something that I would like to raise. Tapine, if you're done with your question, then now I would like to invite Jane. What would be your question? First of all, I would like to share my view. I am a youth myself. And how I see is that we are to fight for the independence for a second time. Role of a youth is significant in this cause. In that kind of dynamic, the confidence on youth by the elder leaders is something to be earned and something to be built. I would like to know how we can earn the confidence of elder leaders on youth. This is a question that I raised to Captain Datha and Maung Saungkha. You have discussed previously all the points. I would like to see an elder leader in this panelist in order to give their perspective and reflection. I think it would be much more productive if we would have this kind of debate like conversation in here. I also would like to know how much confidence has already been earned for the youth already. We have all the youth participants in the NUCC as well. I just would like to know how much confidence that we have been built and earned already in that perspective. And another thing that I would like to talk about is that, yes, there are roles of youths in revolution, but what about the decision-making level? I am sure that there are many elder leaders who will not believe and who will not trust to have youth making decisions. This is something that I would like to know, how to make sure all of these are improved, and I just would like to say that I would like to hear the impression and opinions of the experienced youth in here. Thank you very much. Thanks for your question. Thanks very much for your suggestion to have the experienced elder leader to have in this panel discussion. I think it is a very good suggestion as well. Thanks. Now, this is a time for the answer. Mount Saungkha, you were asked about this issue. Well, to talk about your opinions regarding the difficulties of a youth who cannot open up their feeling, their mind, and at the same time, youths groups on the ground face difficulty of getting fun if they don't have the public media campaign or whatever. So I have already the written reply from Mount Saungkha. I'm going to read that. We have the regular briefing in written. So I think through this kind of communication channel, public will get updated information and save information. It would be very difficult to give the photo of the deceased or killed youth comrade to get fun. No, I think it is very difficult, and it is not the way to seek fun or to get donation. The lesser people know about your armed strategy, the higher chances that you would win. Public must understand it. Now, I would like to give the floor to Captain Datha to reply all of these points. What is the difficulties of the elder to listen to the youth? And now there is this fun strategy. How should it be? Captain, what would be your opinion? Thank you.
လူငယ်တွေကိုလက်ခံပေးဖို့လူကြီးတွေကိုဘယ်လိုမျိုး contact လုပ်တဲ့လဲကျွန်တော်ရှေ့ကနေရှိ
So how do we convince the seniors or the elders to recognize the youth? What kind of recommendation can we? How do we engage? How should the youth engage with the seniors or the elders? I think it is important that the youth. It is important I think through the performance that the youth are very actively participating in this revolution, or that I think it is only when you can show that you are performing and that you're doing your job well that you'll be able to convince the leaders that to take it seriously, to take their duty seriously, so that they only then that you have a performance that you'll be able to carry out the duties that they would give you the mandate, because that it is important to show that you are worthy of this leadership position, that you have the ability to perform as well. If not, then we cannot show that. If we cannot show that we are capable, that we have the ability to do that, then it is our issue as well, because they will not change it. I think it is important to show our performance ability, and also to be able to work with as well, that the youth are participating in different roles. Those who are in the front line, those who are working in the back as well, that it is important that youth can be the engine for the building of the nation. It is important to show that you have the momentum and the skills and the capacity to lead the process, to lead it. I think it is important. So sorry, Goyeta, can you give me second question as well? And then second question is about the logistic support for the support for the support for the what do you mean by the logistic? How to get the support for that as well? For example, like we need that. So the question was, how can we get that the anti-aircraft weapons and the others? So that's a question. Okay, got it. How to get the weapons and that support for it as well? Well, if you want to donate, I think that right now you have the NUG government that either NUG or that that trusted that NUG or the trusted it could be the People's Authority, or it could all be People Defense Forces. And that right now NUG is that it is NUG. You do that. So where do you want to donate? I think it is important. It is important that the donors can also engage with them to donate as well, and that's how that's how the position. You can see that which region you want to donate to, which state you want to do. I think it will be through this NUG engagement, that where do you want to donate, and that this is something you can engage with as well. Thank you for your answer. Now, I would also like to give the floor to MZ to respond to this question, and that one of the entities also have discussed that often as youth often have a lot of the emotions, and they have the voice, and that they don't get it. Youth often don't have an opportunity to share their concerns, their problems, and the challenges they are facing as well. And the second question about the youth leaving the country to work in other countries, how do you see this? Do you also want to answer this as the two questions, as well as on the other points that has been raised by the speakers? If you have your opinion, and also please share. Thank you. Thank you to the speak. Thank you those who asked important questions, like in your questions that I think, and also to thank you to Auntie for asking the question. I'm also very happy to hear that there are also donors who are listening to the voice of the youth, and that I think youth will also feel greatly encouraged that they are being listened to as well, and that I think we need that kind of motivation, that you definitely desperately need that. In the same way as the speaker have raised the point, it is important, and to listen to the youth is that to listen to the youth is something, and that youth need a space to be able to share their feelings and frustrations, and the challenges that you don't have much place to go to. It is true that we often say that among ourselves, that sometimes when we say that maybe also be there can be that you don't feel that you have no space to go to talk about it, to in a way as well, and that especially among those you'd have different feelings, you'd have different emotions, and that even those who are in the revolution, they may different as maybe you among each other. I think either our seniors or other those who are doing logistics support for them. That I think it is important to listen to us, and that listening to our voice, I think could be that that it is a lot of it gives a lot of strength to the issue as well, and that that even if you cannot provide a lot of financial support, I think that if you listen if you listen to the youth, the sound of the voice, that gives a lot of energy to the youth as well, and that thank you for sharing in detail that it is really important that you share this point. Another question we have, not a question but a discussion point we have here, is that many of the youth are trying to leave their country, and that and also there are also people who say that this is a brain drain, or that youth are not remain committed to the revolution as well, that about many youth trying to leave the country to work in other countries, and that I think that is something we have seen it as well. So this is also it is also as something we have seen a lot since the revolution as a youth, and think that we also have that if we look at our friends, that for many reasons, like I said, for many reasons, because of the political contest, and because of the many reasons they have to be responsible for, that they have to leave Myanmar to be able to support you. I don't want to give any comments on those who are leaving, but what I would also like to say is, once they are there, and when you are in a safe place, then it is important to don't not forget about the revolution and do what you can to support the revolution. That also is important. That and also to look at what you can do to support us, and that I understand that they have many reasons for leaving, but you cannot just leave. You cannot just leave and just once you are in a safe place, then it is important to look back on those who are in the revolution, those who walk in as well. One thing I can say is that that I think that as a person who is also, as a 20-something, as a youth who are also, who are supporting her family, I understand that it is, that it can be very difficult. That I cannot say for sure that I will need to support my family, and I might have to leave that as well. I cannot say for certain that will remain here and then stay for that as well. But one thing I can do, or one thing they can do, those who have to leave the country for no choice, is that I don't blame those who leave the country because they need to, and that I have no comments, no criticism, no judgment at all. I don't judge them, and that then what is important is they do not forget about the revolution, and that they contribute the revolution wherever they may be, in whatever way they can. I think that's we appreciated. That for youth, wherever they are, I think it is important that if the youth were engaged in the revolution with the support the revolution, that will be incredible. So we'll take the last round of questions. After that, we'll wrap up the session. So if you have any questions, feel free to use a question as well. And because of due to the limitation of time, we might not be able to answer all questions, but we'll do what we can to respond to them as well. That now I would like to invite Ko Maung to ask your question. I hope you can hear me. Yes, I can hear you. So that I do have a few questions. And the first question is that, just the point that has been raised as well, and that for many reasons that we have the youth and that, who leave Myanmar for many reasons, and that whatever they may be, for whatever reason, if I think that you welcome those who are supporting the revolution. But I just want to share an incident, because in this revolution that I have I have been in a part of the revolution, and then as well, but for many reasons that you also lost connection as well, that and it's quite difficult to find a way to engage with the people as well. Donating is quite easy, but if you want to contribute, if you want to participate in different ways, it's difficult because you need to be able to link up with the people as well. And that right now the problem also is people do not trust each other as well, and that I also hear that as well, that one of the points, it is important for one of the points I made is it is important to the youth to be able to show the ability, and that, and also for their seniors to do that, to need to recognize as possible, to recognize it as well. When it comes to to logistics support or the others, there are many ways you can support. Where are the areas where we can share the opinion? I would like to know what can we share as well, that we would like to know as well. So thank you for sharing. I think Kosaimi also, that Kosaimi, you have raised your hand as well, that any questions? Kosaimi? Or if you, and also that if you have other questions, also please feel free to raise your hand, and Kosaimi, you have the floor.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. What I would like to discuss is that, or the message I want to give to the youth is that I am also a CDM, and that and the Zoom meeting, I remember CDM, but this is the first time I was able to join it as well, and that I'm also a CDM engineer and SAE who joined the CDM movement, and that I finished my bachelor degree in engineering, and that I think these kind of talk shows are important. I think it is important to do that as well. What I would like to share, what I would like to say, the point I would like to say is that later, I think that we also have a lot of problems of algorithm as well. There are also youth, we are also hearing about the youth that needing outlets and so listen to frustration as well, and that there are also algorithm issue, there are also technical issues as well as and then internet can be issue as well, that for those youth inside their country, that they also that it is that the youth also they understand about their feelings as well. I think, and also I recognize also that all the participants present here as well, that what I would like to say is that I think it is important to we hear you, and that we hear your frustrations, and that we do what we can when it comes to internet, or when they can do, we do what we're trying to support what we can as well, and that that it is quite very difficult indeed. It is important for the youth to remain that strong and that remain committed. It is important also to remain that united, and not to become that extremists as well, and that there are challenges and limitations. I think it is important that as well. I'm sure there are also other problems as well, like that we don't know who to trust, and that and also sometimes we also seeing that when you do the fundraising also, that there is also lack of trust mystery, and that some people will ask for like mobile data as well as on the mobile phone and all that. Often that I think it is also important that you need to read, and then not just look at on the Myanmar. It is also important to look at also what is happening on the ground as well. It is also important to look at the other countries example. So please read, and that you do the revolution, but at the same time also to learn more, and that that try to watch news and the TV, or that either YouTube, and then just reading. And it is also important to get awareness as well, and that because I think and also it's so important to look at the world and what is happening as well, and that and I think it is important for our country also to be able to build it is important that the youth should be able to have the ability to have this critical thinking, to have the knowledge, to have the English, so that at least that they be able to communicate. And that's what you need to, because it is important that you continue to work in the revolution, but it is also important to be doable as well. So there are youth of different levels participating in this revolution, those who are in university students, or the graduates, or those who haven't finished high school as well, that this revolution is for us, and that we shall win. But there are challenges, and it is important to remain that strong to the movement. As I'm not joining in as a participant, I'm just as a CDMer, that I'm staying away from my family. I have to I have to stay away, but supporting as much as I can do that as well, like that it is also do what you can to support the movement, and it is important to remain strong, but also important for you to keep learning as well. And that's what I would like to share, that I'm sure there are things we should not say in a public port, so I will not be saying that, but it's important for us to remain that united, and that to support as well. I think thank you for the discussion. I think it is important for the youth to continue learning. It's important as well, because it is important for you to keep their mind open and also learn about the world, not just about it as well. That justice and laws are not the same, and sometimes that laws might not be just about justice as well. I think it is either for the India or for the other countries. I think it is important to not every justice can be judiciary can be law, but I think it is important for the youth to learn about it, and that whether this revolution which are achieve it, but what is important is that that it is also important to build the intellectual that is only then that if we don't have much intellectual people, then there will be limitation, because it is important that we need to have a liberal part as well, that in the politics it is important to be able to do effectively as well. My message to the youth is for us it's not an issue. We are ready to make this ultimate sacrifices. It's more than this, for the youth to keep on learning, to be able to apply their knowledge and critical thinking as well. Well, we'll be ending the question and answer session here, and then to go back to wrap up as well. The question there is also a question we have received in the comment as well, that so how does the PBLA appoint their commander in chief as well, and that the Saungkha also have given the question that PBLA is a new army, and that we don't have an appointment of like commander in chief, and that we do have that that chain of command and that and also as well. So we are with the accountability and that as well. We have different leaders according we have the leaders, different leaders according to that to the world theater, and that those are those who can follow the military rules and regulations, both men and women. They're accountable, and then who can follow the rules and regulations and to be able to work effectively. They should be they will be there as well. If those who want to join that BPLA, and that say that Saungkha has given the answer the question that in the BPLA is calling for the new business. So you can also reach out to them as through the BPLA page as well. And this is about recruitment joining process as well. And then also that that you may have different opinions. Where can we discuss, and where can we the youth can also discuss do groups as well. I would like to invite and that MZ to discuss about where you can go to discuss as well. We also like to at the same time we also like to remind MZ to also to give closing remarks, because we'll be wrapping up the discussion very soon.
Okay. လူငယ်တွေမှာပြောချင်တာရင်ဖွင့်ချင်တာရှိရဆိုလို့ရှိရင်
Well, I would like to say it's about where you would go if they want to open up their feeling. For me, I talk my emotion with my family members. If it is not the way that I have at any time, then I would turn myself to my comrades. I am sure my comrades would be in the same situation, suffering themselves emotionally. So I just don't at the same time want to give extra burden emotionally on my comrades as well. And as a result of it, I keep everything on my own more and more. That happened like this. So in that kind of situation, how shall I put it? I rely mostly on talking among our grades as a first solution, as a coping way. And I also talk things out with our donors as well and our supporters as well. And I can talk to them. I feel like that I can speak things out with them. I think having a conversation, they know us more and I know more of them as well. I think it is a kind of a collective support when we have conversation among each other. And I also would like to talk about the second point, which is where and how we would get contact to participate in the revolution. I would say there are many entry ways in this revolution. You may physically participate, you may financially contribute, and there are many sources as well. And if you would want to physically support, there are all sort of online mechanisms to support the revolution. Click to donate, for example. And there are many campaigns as well, particularly in the foreign countries. Well, we would have, for example, the sanction campaign. Then you may participate there as well, or otherwise you may join the online session. Thank you very much for all this question so that I can share my points. Thank you. I've got the reply from the previous questioner. please, what the question said, please find the elder person who could treat you as their sons and daughters. I think that's very nice to say. Now, Captain Datha, please share your thoughts in terms of how youth and public can participate in this revolution. And after that, we will have a close of this conversation that we're having today. Thank you.
လူငယ်တွေအတန်ကိုနားထောင်ဖို့နာကျွန်တော်တကိုကြီးအကြံပြုချက်ပေါ့နော်
Let me first talk about listening to the youth.
အဲ့လိုလေကိုယ့်ဘက်မှာရဲဘော်အသက်လိုနေတာဖြစ်ဖြစ်
For that, I have my personal suggestion.
ဟောဖြစ်ရှင်နေဆိုရင်ဟိုလို
At
တရားလောက်ပြည်သူတွေနဲ့
town
ပြေဆုံးတင်
level,
တယ်
the
အဲ့လို
village
တင်တယ်
level,
လိုအပ်တာလေးတွေကိုယ့်ဖွဲ့ရဲ့လိုအပ်အတားချက်
at various level, there are many ways
ပြပြင်တင်တာလေးတွေကို
which could be feasible
မြင်တယ်ကိုကမမြင်
to listen to the youth, to listen to the public.
အဲ့လိုတွေတွေ့ဆုံတင်တယ်လို့လည်းမြင်တယ်စနာက
As long as you have a will to do so, you would be able to
ဟိုကျွန်တော်တို့က
meet with the people on the ground. I think meeting with the people on the ground is
ဟိုအများကြီးညှိနှိုင်းမှာ
critical.
ဒါကတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့အရွေးတစ်ခုရှောက်ဖို့နာတော့
There are
အတားချက်
many compromises to be made
ကျွန်တော်ကြော်ဖြတ်မှာအရာရှိရင်
among
မယ်ဆိုရင်ကျွန်တော်တို့လုပ်ကိုလုပ်အောင်ပါပေါ့
elder people
အားကြောင့်မလို့ဟိုဖြစ်တယ်ဆိုရင်စနာလိုမျိုး
and younger people.
အတန်တွေ
But
တခြားရဲဘော်အတန်တွေကြား
this
ဖို့
is
နာ
inevitable. This is how we build the future. Listen to your comrades and hear their voice.
Okay.
I think this is my suggestion. Thank you.
So
Thank you very much for your contribution in this conversation. Our time for this conversation today is well past. I would like to say goodbye for now to all of you. As the suggestion that we have today, we will organize more of this conversation regarding youth in the future. Again, we will try to have a platform to have debate over a particular opinion. Thank you very much for your participation, contribution, and attention in this program. And